What are you still mad about? Back in my junior year history class, we were writing an open book quiz. I dropped my pencil and it bounced under the desk of a guy next to me. He noticed and picked it up. My teacher immediately failed both of us for cheating. The quiz was maybe 5% of our grade, and it was 20 years ago, but it still burns my grits. When I was in kindergarten, my school had a student Olympics where all the kids would participate in physical competitions, like sprinting and jump ropes or other kid-friendly competitions. I was in the lead for the sprinting competition and it was the final lap. I was gonna win, I was so close. But one of my classmates ran behind me, and shoved me down, making my knee bleed profusely. I don't care that I was injured, I'm just fucking pissed that that dipshit won. He didn't even get in trouble. I'm still pissed about that, freak you Michael. I was doing a relay race in kindergarten and was about to win but I slipped and my foot goes over the finish line but the teachers didn't count it so I got last. When my son was 3 this big kid pushed him off the top of a bouncy house slide then jumped on top of him breaking his arm. I ran over to my son while my friend confronted the kid's dad. When told his son broke my kid's arm the dad laughed. We had a classroom pet lizard in the 3rd grade. I went to the pencil sharpener during class and noticed that it had been frightened and detached its tail. Something we learned about lizards when they brought it into the classroom. I loudly gasped when I saw it and received after-school detention for disrupting the class. I was an 8-year-old that was punished for seeing something scary to me. Still angry. When I was in 2nd grade I asked my teacher permission to go to the bathroom. She said yes. When I came back I got in trouble for leaving the classroom without permission. When I was in kindergarten, it was nap time and I asked permission to go to the bathroom. My teacher said no. I peed on the floor. I had to go home because my clothes were all wet. Who TF tells a 5-year-old they can't go to the bathroom? Bank of America doing their best to fuck up my home loan 10 years ago. Even though it eventually was sorted out, my blood pressure rises every time I think about it. So back when I was in kindergarten my class has a huge snitch. We were doing arts and crafts and I ended up getting her as a partner. She said my name and when I turned around the string I was holding ended up hitting her in the arm a string and she cried and told the teacher had to move my clip down and my parents kept telling me don't hit people. After all that I still hate her. Only being invited to my in-laws' house because they need something technology related fixed under the guise of food. LOL. Man, you're onto something there. I remember getting stuck in the basement doing tech support during freaking holidays. What's for Christmas? Billy gets a new sweater, Bert gets new boots, Chrissy gets new cookware, Idiosyncrasy gets to spend 5 hours in the basement trying to clean out viruses from a MacBook. When I was in the 6th grade, I had trouble with math, and as such, tended to ask a lot of questions in class. Once, when we were reviewing something I think it was algebra I raised my hand to ask a question because I didn't understand, and the teacher said, in an annoyed tone and totally serious, "Oh, geez. I guess you can bring a horse to water but you can't make it drink." Embarrassed me to the point where I never asked questions in that class again and ended up just barely passing. I'm 25 now, and it still makes me mad. Fuck you, Mrs. Magnuson. 2 things in 1998, when I was 13 years old, the Smashing Pumpkins played a free concert in Minneapolis. I had never been to a concert before, but I convinced my mom to let me go. I had plans with my best friend and was super excited. That was until one of the neighbors needed a last-minute babysitter overnight to watch her infant and toddler. Mom decided I was doing that instead. She paid me $100 for the work and I remember that being the first redesigned $100 bill I had ever seen but I missed the concert. 100K people showed up. Yeah, it probably would have been a nightmare situation with that many people and me being so young, but I didn't get to be a part of it, and people are still talking about it. At my old job we had 2 community fridges for everyone to bring their lunches, and freezers for us to store some bulk stuff. I had a box of corn dogs in the freezer. One day, I went to the break room to make a corn dog for lunch. I put my hand in the box, and was infuriated to find out that not only had all of my corn dogs been eaten by someone that was not me, rather than throwing the box away, they filled the box with ice cubes to weigh it down and put it back in the freezer. We all labeled our food with our names and dates, so whoever took my lunch knew it was my lunch. I know people's lunch gets stolen at work all the time. It's the audacity of weighing the box down and putting it back that really makes me mad. This was 7 or 8 years ago and I'm still mad about it. Never did find out who did it either. I was talking to my neighbor after school one day, and had asked me how my stepmom's pregnancy was doing. I didn't know what he was talking about, so he showed me a picture of a positive pregnancy test my stepmom had sent him 2 days prior. I had told my parents I was upset that they did not tell me. They denied it. When I confronted my dad in the parking lot about him lying to me, he told me he does not lie to me. He denied that my stepmom was pregnant in the first place. The child is my father's. About 2 months later, my stepmom walks up to me and says, "Since you already know I'm pregnant, it's a girl by the way." I graduated in 2008, in the middle of that recession. There were no jobs available because I was magically overqualified with my college degree and underqualified with no experience. I got one interview and I was perfect for the job, but the employer said that I lived too far away. The commute would have been an hour and 10 minutes. But I was willing to move because I had just finished school and there was nothing keeping me in my college town. The interviewer just kept shaking his head saying that's too far of a drive. Dude, freaking listen to me. It would have been an awesome job. Being the only second grade class in the history of my school to miss out on the annual apple picking trip, all because a group of boys had been consistently acting out for a while. The teachers believed the best way to punish them was to pull the field trip from everyone. Of course, the boys didn't learn anything from it, and I was left quite bitter that I made it to the final two for a very good marketing job in a hiring process with WWE 6 years ago, only for at the final hour when they made their decision, a former employee got wind of the job and just texted the hiring manager, and both of us were out. I've been in a couple of those interviews where it was clear the fix was in. Once applied for a state agency job where they gave me the questions beforehand and during the interview just quickly asked me the same questions with no follow-up and they were clearly disinterested in anything I had to say. Got out of there in under 30 minutes. Didn't get an offer and frankly didn't want one after that interview. My best friend in 7th grade texted me while pretending to be her mom. She texted me saying that she had killed herself. And when I saw my friend in person the next week, she laughed when I told her that I had thrown up because I cried so hard. Now I have major trust issues and I still have a grudge on her. When I was at university, my sister's school had a fundraising thing where they accepted donations for them to sell off in a car boot sale. My mom gave away my entire book collection without letting me know. This included a book that my granddad gave to me when I turned 15 where he wishes me the best, a couple from teachers after I left their class and a few that I exchanged with friends when I graduated secondary school. We gave each other a copy of some of our favorite books. I know I'm a nerd. I only found out months later with no way to track them down. When I was 19 and my sister was 16, my parents bought sister her first car. They said it wasn't truly hers, but when either of theirs weren't working they always asked her permission to borrow it. That car eventually was passed to me when they gave her second car. This car was a gift from one of my father's co-workers. The man told him it was for his daughter since the guy worked with my dad since my mom was pregnant with her. When I pointed out that my sister already had a car, it made sense to give it to me. My father explained that since the guy didn't know I existed, the car had to go to my sister. Makes no sense to me, but I'm not about to argue with my dad. So, I asked that if when I'm ready to get my own car could they help me out. He agreed. Time comes when I've been working a while and the piece of crap had gotten from my sis is on its last legs. I did some shopping around and found something. I asked if they could help as they'd promised. I kid you not, my sister called a family meeting and convinced my parents that they shouldn't help me out because I had a job. They of course agreed with her. I'm in my 50s still bitter. Thanks sis. That my parents sold my longboard that I bought and kept the money to themselves. I would have learned to use a skateboard if my cocaine-using, chair-throwing, wife-beating, thrift store Dwayne Johnson-looking ass stepdad didn't snap it in half. On my birthday, my mom let my sister play Nintendogs on my DS. She wanted to buy a new dog. The problem was to do that she had to delete another dog and she deleted Bello, my best dog that I had trained for over a year. My sister was 4 at the time but I am still mad about it. I was at a skating competition about 4 hours away. I came home and found out my aunt had given my cats away to the SPCA and left before I came home, so I couldn't confront her about it. Freak you, Aunt K. Christmas Day when I was 8, I rode my brand new scooter to Grandma's to show my uncle and left it in the front yard. I came out with my uncle less than 5 minutes later and someone stole that motherfucker. I don't remember this, but I was talking to my brother. Apparently he was there too and got his scooter stolen as well. Last year, on Father's Day, I found out that my father had passed away weeks prior. His wife, not my mother, kept that information from me purposely, and even used his cell phone and pretended to be him via text after he had passed. I will never get over this. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. I rarely post and this kinda blew up, so I'll answer a few questions. I don't know if there's an inheritance. I've been told he blew a lot of his money on medical expenses and she was basically paying for everything at the end. I've called the probate court pretty much every month since it happened and nothing has been filed. I'm doing okay at best. It's been tough at times. Obviously this past weekend was rough, which I think is why I decided to randomly reply to this quest. I currently don't have an insurance though, that is changing soon, so I haven't been able to speak to anyone about it. Wow. Thank you for Reddit Gold. Not really sure what to do with it. I'm completely taken aback by the response of all you wonderful internet strangers. You've given me the courage to pursue this further and post this to r/legal advice. You can't even begin to understand what this means to a man who's been struggling with his self-worth. Thank you all so much. My dad always harassed me for not liking watermelon. He called me picky. I was one of the most open-minded kid eaters ever. I ate everything put in front of me. My dad would not eat squash. The hypocrisy. What people don't realize is we all have unique taste buds that interpret things differently from others. Some foods such as cilantro and goat cheese affect a higher percentage of people, but others are much rarer. I had a friend who was a normal eater, but watermelon tasted like garbage to them. That was the proof I needed that we all taste things differently, because there is no way in hell anyone would hate watermelon if it tasted the same to others as it does to me. I had a friend as close as a brother steal $500 cash from my wallet, and proceed to abuse the fuck out of my kindness. Good news is I got the money all back after he realized I was on to his theft and not falling for his lies. Bad news is he sliced my couch up, pretended to find 200 of the 500 trying to masquerade as theft. He even said I should give him a cut of it even though I was still out 300. My couch is still ruined, too, and I sleep on that thing. No longer associated with him, but I really want to curb stomp his bitch ass. When I was 9 years old, my friend and I had the original red and yellow Pokémon games. We spent months getting every Pokémon we can and evolving them to complete the Pokédex. We saved up our money and bought a link cable just so we can trade. Another month or so my friend's parents buy him blue version. We were ecstatic. We rushed through the game just to collect the exclusives to that game and trade it with one another. We each were at 149 Pokémon. One day my younger cousin, 5 years old, came over and wanted to play my Game Boy. I was afraid of letting him play on my saved file that I started a new game for him and handed him the Game Boy to play. Later on that day I took my Game Boy and went over to my friend's house. I started up the game and saw Player ASH. Badges 0. Pokédex 1. Tom 013. My heart sank when I saw that. I knew exactly what happened. That little dipshit saved over my file. I was bawling when it happened and my 8-year-old friend was consoling me saying it's going to be okay and we're going to do it all over again. We never did. When I confronted my cousin he said he didn't know what he was doing and pushed every button in the start menu. Still mad about it today. I will never get Magmar. I will never get 150 ever again.